We're going. Okay, so it's Friday night, and I have another movie recommendation for you. Willard from 1971, directed by Daniel Mann. Let's talk about 1971. I've talked about 1971 before. Here's some things you might not know. The premier candy was Laffy Taffy. He opened it up. They had a little joke, usually written by kids. They were pretty bad, you know. What made Laffy Taffy really popular was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory came out that year. And so this candy really captured the whole theme of Willy Wonka, and that led to its longevity. Then we have other films that came out. You know, of course, Patton did great at the box office. But there was also, I'm blanking now on the other movies. Oh, how unlike me to blank when I'm on the camera. Anyway, not long before, the Helter Skelter murders happened with the Manson family killing Sharon Tate and her unborn child and throwing Hollywood and the U.S. into an uproar, really. Kind of disillusioned everybody. So in 1971, Charlie Manson and his accomplices were found guilty of first-degree murder and were sentenced to life in prison. Now, here's an interesting thing. In New York City in 1971, it was illegal for men to dance with each other. However, disco was coming forward, and that meant everybody was on the dance floor at the same time. Basically, the room danced with each other. The result was a rather enriched nightlife change. So that was happening in 1971. What else? Christmas gifts. Don't know if you ever saw it, but there was these great things called clackers, which would never fly today. Basically, there are two plastic balls connected with a piece of string with a ring, and what you would do is you'd move it up and down like this really fast, and the balls would clack against each other. Of course, kids would go absolutely bonkers and do this as fast as you can, which meant broken strings or the clackers cracking from the unruly stress of kids. But it was hella fun while it lasted. Now, I was 9 years old in 1971, and Willard really appealed to me. Willard was about this shy young man, very much not socially adept at all. His father's company had been taken over by Willard's now boss, and who was a tyrant. Remained a tyrant, and basically kept grinding Willard down at every opportunity, and not giving him a raise and just making him work long hours and weekends. Willard lived with his mom in this big old decrepit house. Willard's mom was really crotchety and not exactly very fit. And she sent him to the task of killing some of the rats. But what happened was he took pity on the rats, and some of the rats kind of became very friendly with him, and he started to train them to go over. He spent his evenings training to do things like go over string or what have you. So he had two rats that he particularly liked. One was called Socrates, and one was called Ben. And finally, he has it up to here with his boss. Boss kills Socrates. because Willard took the rat to work to keep him company, and that was it. Now, Willard's using his rats for evil purposes. Doesn't end well. So lots and lots of rats, and what I really enjoyed was Ernest Borgnine, who played the role of the boss. I was a big Ernest Borgnine fan even when I was 9 years old. And at the time, rats, clever rats. How intriguing for a 9-year-old. This movie just captured my imagination. Now, I wasn't the only ones whose imagination this movie captured, because practically within, I think, the next year or the year after, Ben came out, which was a sequel to this movie based on the other rat. Socrates was dead, so now you have Ben. And Ben turned out to be extremely popular. Part of the reason was Michael Jackson did a song called Ben, all about a young boy and his rat, which is pretty much what Willard's about. So Willard is my movie recommendation. Do not watch the 2003 remake with Kristen Glover until you watch the 1971 original version, because there are some things that pop up in the 2003 version which you will greatly appreciate if you watch the original version. And you can watch this on Canopy. That's spelled with a K, K-N-O-P-Y. Canopy is your library's streaming service. So all you need is a library card and a zip code and an email address, and you can sign in and watch movies like Willard. Anyway, join me next week for another movie recommendation, and be so kind to follow me on Facebook and hit the like in the doobly-doo. I haven't asked anyone to do that yet, but I would really appreciate gaining some more followers at this point. Anyway, thanks. Off button.